Hello, Taylor here. We're going to try to straighten that out a bit. Take number 4. See, I have 3 other bottles over there to prove that this is my 4th take. It has been entertaining. Anyways, that aside, the goal of tonight, which used to be today when I started this, is to show you one recipe for pouring paint. So what you're going to need is obviously, well, not obviously, but what you might like to have is a bottle. We're going to do the mix in the bottle. You're going to want, this is for a thick, gosh, give it up. This is for a thick body paint. I use my coupons, my glove. I use my coupons on all my expensive products. This is not one of them. So anyways, so use your coupon. Thick body paint. You can get 20, 30, I don't know how many of the small dollar bottles out of the $6.99 bottle, so it's worth the investment. I'm using floetrol. It is a latex-based paint additive. Love my fingers. So if you're sensitive to latex, definitely wear gloves. Never a bad idea anyways when working with chemicals. Even though you don't think of these as chemicals, they are. Don't pour any of these down the sink, the drain, the garage drain. These don't go into the water system, and that's where your sink drains go. Liquitex, gloss medium, and varnish. I'm going to use that. And distilled H2O to avoid molding or ickiness on a wet palette or in your pour bottles, because nothing would be more fun than finding little fuzzy mold things sprouting out of your spout, and that's what distilled water does. Purified water is not pure enough, but distilled water is so unfriendly, it's perfect for this. So you also might want a strainer. I usually shake my floetrol and I strain it. We'll get to that. So let's hope the paint cooperates this time. So I'm just going to, I'm not weighing my paint. I usually prefer to weigh my paint. We're going to have 1 part paint, 1 part floetrol, 1 part medium, to as much, not to exceed 1 part total volume of all 3 of water. Water breaks down the binders and it can make your paint crack when it dries, so you don't want to overdo the water. So first we're starting eyeballing the paint, assuming it, yay, it's coming out. I'm going to put about 1 inch worths in there, give or take. And you want to watch for paint boogers. I don't like paint boogers. They end up on your canvas. Oh goodness, this one's very stubborn. They end up on your canvas and you may or may not catch them before it dries, but you'll definitely see them when they dry, and either you'll like them for character or sand them off, or you'll just feel devastated that you've got a paint booger sticking out of your dried canvas. Come on, paint. Jeebers. It can spuge that way, but it's sure not coming out. Come on out. There you go. It's been a funny day. No one will die. People might be annoyed. Like me. So there you go. So you've got it. You got a little quantity of paint there. I have already strained repeatedly my floetrol into this thing. Notice I had a really big floetrol booger. That puppy would have ended up in my paint had I not been paying attention. And you always must shake your floetrol to get that cell-generating lubricant. This is also a lubricant for spraying paint, so that's probably why people get cells out of it. They recommend 8 ounces to every gallon. We're not working in quantities such as that, so we don't really have to be too concerned. It doesn't break down the binders, that's why it's safe to add. It's probably the equivalent of PVA in many ways, but so is this. Both of these dry clear and dry rubbery. So we don't have too many paint boogers because I've strained them all out already repeatedly. So we're going to go ahead and eyeball this about 1 inch, more or less equal. I'm not worried as much. Like I said, this does not break down the binders in the paint, so I'm not going to freak out about it. Then I'm going to go ahead and, you don't have to shake this stuff, sometimes I do. Again, this is something you want to use your coupon for if you're going to do this. This is for a more professional type of pour, something I'm hoping I'm going to be making a triptych. So roughly 1 part of that. You can be shy on that, you can be generous on that. It's not going to affect the pour. So I'm going to go ahead and shake it. Now I'm going to shake it sideways rather than up and down. Am I still recording? My camera stopped a few times tonight. Because if you shake it up and down, see you've got paint globs already going in here. It will block the nozzle and make it a real pain in the patooski, which I also had that experience tonight. It's just been one of those nights. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a dollop, so to say, of water in there just to loosen it up and hopefully get it a little more flowing. 1, 2. Yeah, that's a tiny bit. This is for demonstration purposes only, so if anything goes wrong and I've added too much, well, just don't. Don't add too much water. Everything's reparable. You can always put more paint in, and I usually, if I overdo this, I'll add more gloss medium or more paint depending. So basically this is all you have to do to mix your paint. 1 part paint, 1 part floetrol, 1 part this stuff, or PVA if that's how you're going to roll. And this is not purified. That's my distilled water for display purposes only. I'm going to be pouring this in the next 24 hours. So it sounds really nice and loose. Let's see how the nozzle does. Ugh. Man, these bottles tonight too. It's been kind of funny. Okay, not to eat up too much of your time. Well, so, what do I call that? I don't know what to call that. Let's see. If I pick it up and I move it, see it flows pretty well down the stick. I don't know, is it a honey consistency? No, it's a drippy consistency. So I would assume I can actually add more water to that, believe it or not. So I would probably add more water to that until it becomes a honey-like, a warm honey-like consistency, not the crunchy stuff in the back of your pantry consistency. And there you have it, a mess, but it works. Nobody died, and ta-da, success. I don't think the camera crashed this time. Yay, camera. Have yourself a great day. Go do some pouring. Have some fun. Be safe with your chems. Be safe with your disposal. And pour your heart out. Have a good time. And if you have any questions, there's tons of us out here. Leave questions in the comments, which I doubt you'll have, but there's also Anne-Marie Ritterhoff, there's Nick Cheadle, there's so many wonderful people painting and pouring right now. So go have some fun and go play with paint. Oh, look at that. Huh? Looks like my gloves expired. See ya. Have a great day. Bye.